We finally got the explanation for why the Illinois football line against Indiana has been on the move in favor of the Hoosiers all week. If you have paid attention to it, which I know you have, Dion, you and I are constantly talking betting every single day. Illinois opened some places as 2.5 point underdogs, and then it was taken off the board quickly. It jumped to 4 and then has progressively, steadily gone from 4 to 4.5 to 5 to 5.5 to 6, all the way up right now to 6.5 is what Indiana's favored at home. This entire time this has been happening for 2 or 3 days, I've come on camera here and on the Bet River show I host and on the Dimer show I host, everywhere that I'm at, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand why this line is moving this aggressively. Indiana should be favored at home, but not by this much when Indiana's best running back just got ruled out for the year and Illinois is seemingly healthy, as we were told 2 or 3 days ago. Well, we finally got the explanation for it, I think, because yesterday reports have surfaced that star defensive back Xavier Scott for Illinois, a surefire NFL player in that secondary, is likely to miss this game. This was not known. In fact, as little as 3 days ago, Illinois beat reporters were reporting that Xavier Scott had normal x-rays and he was expected to play. So somehow, some way, either something has changed or there's less certainty. What has been reported in the last 24 hours, which comes directly from Brett Bielema himself speaking to reporters, he said, quote, "I don't know if he will be back for Saturday or where it will be for the season. He had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. He's getting a second opinion." But when asked point blank, do you expect him for this weekend? Brett Bielema said no. At this point, no. If Xavier Scott is out, that's massive for an Indiana football team that we know likes to air it out, that I would think is going to air it out even more than normal with the loss of their leading rusher in this game. Indiana has some very good receivers. Surratt and Cooper both are pretty incredible. They've combined for 7 touchdowns on the season. And if you're looking ahead to this game, you absolutely need Xavier Scott to stick one, if not both, of these star Indiana receivers at points in this game. If he's gone, there's not a lot of depth in the Illinois secondary. Just point blank, he's irreplaceable. And there will be more openings through the air for Indiana at home in a primetime game here. So, first off, do you think this is why the line movement has been mysterious all week? And then what's your analysis of what we do with this?
I think it's definitely part of the reason the line's moving. You know those accounts that come out like the day of that are like 70% of the population's on so and so's line. I think it's going to be massive. Like I think it's going to be like 80-85% of people are in Indiana, and I think that's going to be part of the reason that the lines moved the way it moved too. Um, I don't agree with it though, even without Xavier Scott. By the way, like I don't think Indiana has looked that good this year. In Illinois, um, I know they had like some first half struggles ish. I don't want to like say it too struggly last week, but they turned it on in the second half, ended up covering the spread. I think this Illinois team is really good. I don't think Indiana's that good personally. Um, Xavier Scott, no Xavier Scott, my plan's to be all over Illinois in this game.
Yeah, wait, what was your last part there? Sorry. You
I
said
said Xavier Scott, no Xavier Scott. My plan's to be all over Illinois in this game.
so it's not moving you off of being on Illinois.
No, my plan going into it was being on Illinois. I think it's a rat line, as I like to call them. Shout out, what is it, Rico? I think Illinois is a really good team. I think Indiana's pretty good, but I don't think they're as good as like a 6.5 point favorite. I don't think Indiana should be favored by 6 or 7 over anybody in the Big Ten right now.
So well, anybody's crazy. You could
Yeah,
give
anybody's crazy, Purdue and them. But
top
you know,
half
like
teams, top half teams.
the
Yeah.
top half of teams, yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm doing mental gymnastics on this because I feel like this happens sometimes with just random games on the board, but I don't like when it happens with games I'm just going to enjoy watching anyway. Like, I don't want my sole interpretation of Illinois, Indiana to come back to how much I'm betting it. The problem is I loved Illinois at full strength plus 4 points against Indiana so much that it was my best bet. I put 7 units on it in the newsletter, and I put 7 combined units on everything else I'm betting. So, like, I was willing to kind of stake my hashtag legacy play on Illinois at full strength to go cover this number against Indiana. The problem is Xavier Scott was a huge part of that to me. He just was. And look, I'm not saying that Illinois can't win without him. I think Illinois is a much more, I don't know, comprehensive football team than just one player. They're not a one-trick pony. Xavier Scott wasn't their everything. But just in terms of a singular matchup here, this is the nightmare guy to lose against Indiana. It just is, especially Indiana when they lose their running back. Because the way Indiana beats you, I've talked about like what I think both teams want the game script to be. Indiana wants to score 40, and they want to score 40 through the air. And I felt good about Illinois' resistance against Indiana's passing attack when Xavier Scott's involved. When he's not, I just don't know that Illinois has the dudes to keep up with Mendoza and with these two receivers. So I worry, I kind of laid out the game script. I want Illinois, or I think Illinois is going to be able to like capitalize on Indiana mistakes, get out to an early lead and control the game. Play it on Illinois' terms and kind of let Altmaier game manage his way through this. Let Duke beat themselves is how they beat Duke. Let Indiana beat themselves. I worry that now this becomes let's go play for play, who can get to 40. And if it's play for play, who can get to 40, I think Illinois can get there, but I think it's a lot less likely that they win the game in that regard. So I think this is a rather massive swing. And I hate that I'm doing mental gymnastics on it so much because I want to just enjoy this game. But now I'm forced to be like, well, damn, from a betting perspective, is it still my best bet? Is it not? How do I do this? For what it's worth, it's not my best bet anymore. I've already wrote that I'm putting 7 units on it in the newsletter, so I stand by that and I'll take the record. With the Bet Rivers show I do, I'm moving to a different game. I'm moving to USC Michigan State as my best bet this week. Illinois is still on my card. And I would just say this from a betting perspective. If it gets up to 7, it's at 6.5 right now. If it gets up to 7 without Xavier Scott, you got to play that anyway. Even if they lose their star defensive back, you get a full touchdown against this team. You got to play that anyway as a better. So I'm kind of fatigued by it. Also, like hot seat, Illinois and the way they're talking about their injuries. What happened in 3 days? 3 days ago, he was perfectly fine, 100% going to play. And now, like, he might be out extended time the whole year. What happened? Like, that feels like totally misleading to the betting public, no?
Very misleading. Very misleading, unless he got hurt in practice, but very misleading. I think they returned like their whole defense, right? Like I'm not wrong on that.
16 starters total.
Yeah, I mean I'm not a huge Mendoza guy. I wasn't when he was at Cal. Uh, I'm still not with him at Indiana. I don't know that he can take advantage of Xavier Scott not being there. I get he's like CBS Sports has him as the number one pick next year or whatever it is. Not me. Like I like Illinois in this. I like Luke Altmaier more than I like Mendoza, to be honest with you at the moment. So, at bare minimum, I'm not saying Illinois wins the game. If you're giving me it's 6.5 at the moment, right? Or is it just 6?
It's 6.5 right now.
If you're giving me 6.5 points, I believe this. Indiana can be up 10 going into like the final drive. Luke Altmaier is going to score like a pointless touchdown to cover that spread.
Yeah, I think I trust the offense too if needed. I'm with it. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made that the fact this line has moved so much, even without Scott, makes the valuable side Illinois. And I'm just going to keep beating my head against a wall with that. The only thing I would say, man, it is obvious given the line movement early in the week that was so suspicious. It's obvious that someone knew this, right? Like this information got out somehow to Sharps to hammer Indiana that Scott was going to miss this game. So I'm annoyed with the way like the public seems to have been misled on this, but behind the scenes somebody knew. And maybe I just should have done better research. But I feel like if you did the research on it, smart people were telling you Scott was going to play 2 days ago. So we'll see. Weird stuff. Maybe he'll pull Superman. Like What do they pull him out on a wheelchair and he limps onto the field and then gives a legacy performance?
I mean, with the Walt Frazier come out the
Yeah.
tunnel.
Or the Paul Pierce poop his pants and still play through it.
I love that story so much.
It's a good one.